How's it going, everybody? This is the Uncanny Omar, and you all know what channel you're watching. But just in case, the Mick edition, the Home Collected Editions. Look at that. And more importantly, I have somebody, my favorite person to get to talk to. So much that I this has to be more of a. It's gotten to be like a quarterly kind of conversation. I don't even know if this is an interview anymore. It's just two friends catching up. But in case you don't know who this is,
just let it be two friends chatting.
That's it.
I don't have any public speaking in me today. Like it's going to be nonsense. That's what it's going to be. It's going to be because it's not for the patrons. It's going to be, the PG version.
But do you do
whatever? I
don't think you can do PG, but I'd like to see you try.
What is PG? Like, what is the definition of PG?
Parental guidance, meaning that your mom and dad have to be in the room.
Oh, God, no.
Yeah, right? And they have to watch what you're saying. Everybody, this is my wonderful friend, Torunn Grønbekk, who is an amazing creator. She has graced the pages of recently Carnage and Venom and Catwoman. She's worked on Red Sonja, Thor and Valkyrie and Punisher. She's going to write a lot of cool stories. So yes, somebody that doesn't need a proper introduction. Torunn, how are you? How's the holidays?
Oh, I think it's been mostly nice. I've just come off a sort of the shock of having some free time, which obviously immediately means that I got a migraine, and I spent the fun thing about migraines is that I don't sleep. I'm just awake in pain, thinking about all the things I should do to make sure that I never get into this situation again. So I feel existential these days. Like I feel I'm ready to deal with the big questions of life. And because it's obviously not going to be PG, I realize this is the thing, and I'm sorry that we're getting here 4 seconds into the chat, but I was talking to another comic creator, and we were talking about migraines, and I mentioned that I think they're hormonal because I get so, ironically, get exceptionally horny while I'm having a migraine, and it's one of those.
I'm sure there's a study being done somewhere, and if not, I'd like to conduct that study.
Yeah, but the thing is that, and the guy I was talking to was also a comic writer. He was like, "Yeah, me too. I don't know what's going on," and so it's sort of existential dread and porn. Like that's what's going on in my head, which is great.
This is mix, right? It's ups and downs. Isn't that what it is? Right?
Anyway, welcome to the live or whatever.
Welcome to the live. Yes. Thank you, Omar Reyes. Not even 5 minutes in.
We're doing great. Oh,
yeah, just giving you a small taste of what it's
like.
But
do you remember? I hope the chat remembers all the things that was said in the previous thing, the Patreon. That stays on Patreon, right? So no.
Oh yes, that stays on Patreon. Yes. We don't talk about those things in the public eye, but don't be surprised if some people have something unique for you to sign the next time they see you at a convention.
Yeah. I look forward.
I think that from was it Chris Claremont that told you he gets migraines and also gets horny? Was that Chris? I can kind of see him saying that.
No, I don't think I should tell you who it was, but it was a moment of great delight to me because I thought I was sort of going insane. And there is something to. I think if you just leave people alone in their own heads for long enough, that's what's going to happen, right? I would hope, I do hope that you go to the most depraved parts of your minds instead of sort of self-loathing or something. Like if you're just left alone for long enough.
Yeah, of course. Okay.
I think. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong at all. I think that actually could be, that could be a thing. Absolutely.
I like that. Kyle is
your parents have to be in the room. PG is just know your kid is watching it or something like that. Thank you for that, Kyle.
But we're allowed like one fuck or something, right? Like if it's PG.
PG-13 is you can drop one F-bomb. And then ours, you can drop as many as you want to.
Right.
Depending on the context. What? Like in the context of the word, because then that can lead to like an NC-17 rating and then a X rating. A fair amount of self-loathing is my natural state.
I'm sorry, John, but I do hope that at some point you end with the self-loathing and just enjoy your depraved mind.
The depraved mind, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you have one of those too. I think we all do.
How is the holiday season over there?
The thing is, like, Norway is in our sort of atheist selves. We do. It's very food related. We do everything on the 24th. So we have a big meal, and then we open presents, and then like you can leave. Like, that's fine. And like for us, the first day of Christmas, we will have another meal that will sort of go from breakfast through dinner. So we'll just eat the entire day, and that's it. We do have a concept that we call like this time right now is sort of the romjul, the sort of that space in between Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve,
where we're supposed to, I don't know, we do nothing, which is lovely. And
you don't work, like everything shuts down.
I suppose some people would work, but none of them are actually working unless you work in a shop, I suppose. Like no offices, like nothing, no emails are answered. No one could be expected to do anything, which I always find interesting when I work with Americans, which is mostly what I do, because we have so much time off. So every time I have time off, like for Easter or something, and they start sending me emails, I'm like, don't you have an Easter vacation that goes on for 8 or 9 days? And they're like, no, we don't. We have nothing.
Are there like traditional meals that you make during this time?
Yeah, sure. There are a bunch of, we do like a nice rib. I think as
what about reindeer?
Well, that would be far up north. They would do a reindeer stew. They would do the reindeer stew that I will make you when you come to Norway at some point.
You have kept that promise, and I'm gonna take you to there was a trade-off. You were gonna make me reindeer stew, and I was gonna take you to a Hooters in the United States next time, because you need to experience that delicacy.
Yeah, I can't fucking wait. But what I do find delightful about, I hope we can drive to the Hooters, which
we can drive to the Hooters.
Yeah, because that seems like the most anticlimactic thing you can do is to, after you've done the Hooters and you're like, hey, you're sort of something. I'm not sure what kind of mood you'll be in after a meal at Hooters, but then you'll get back into the car and be like, hey, where are we driving now? That seems so strange to me.
Oh, yeah, that's a thing, right? It's like, I don't think about that. I haven't been to Hooters in so long. It's been, over 10 years. I guess it's just a part of the American restaurant system. Because, it's been a big part of, as long as I've been in America, I think it's been there. And it's just a thing. Like, you take young kids, too. Like, I've seen families at Hooters. I've seen, it's so weird.
Do you explain it at some point? Do you go, oh, so this is a cultural establishment that we have called Hooters, which is mostly based off of Hooters? I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a rite of passage. I see a lot of young kids, a lot of young boys, like celebrating their birthdays there, and they feel bad for staring. And since I haven't been there in 10 years, I don't even know if there's an etiquette rule that you have to follow now or something. But I do find it interesting. I've never thought about, like, where do we go after Hooters, or what are we doing? What led us here? I think it's just something that happens.
But I do find it sort of delightful that no one sort of questioned it, that you sort of you went on with the Hooters. No, at some point you would think that someone would be like, this doesn't work in our society, whatever the fuck. But I love that you keep doing it.
So there's another place that just recently closed. It was called the Tilted Kilt, and Kyle's talking about it right now. It feels less trashy for some weird reason, even though it isn't. Because for me, like, Hooters are wonderful if you're a Hooters type of guy. I'm more of the backside, so I would need an establishment like Booters, like somebody, right? Like the Tilted Kilt.
So what is the Tilted Kilt?
I've heard places like Hooters kills restaurants. Dude, I've never heard that. That's hilarious.
Oh, that's a good job. You
I'm
should
gonna
just
write that down.
In my mind, you made that up, and it's brilliant.
And yeah, that was amazing. So the tilted kilt is very similar to Hooters. It's still focusing on like usually lady waitresses. Like I said, I haven't been to these establishments in like over a decade, so I don't know if they've changed it up. But lots of young women, college age, that are dressed like schoolgirls in a way with those kilts, right? And the like, I think they have something wrapped around here. It shows their midriff. Yeah.
There's the Twin Peaks. Oh my God, it's so good. Okay, so that we should just do. I'll come to America. We'll do.
I wrote down restaurant in a notepad that I have. Like it's an open note that it's for my bills. Then I'm down at the bottom is restaurant, and I'm a year from now I'm going to be looking at this thing going, why did I write down restaurant? And that's genius.
And then you'll remember that's because we're going on a tour of the restaurants of America.
Oh, yeah.
That's what we're doing. And we're going to vlog it or whatever. It's going to be great. And at some point when we're in a car in the 17th hour, we're going to regret some things, but it's going to be great.
Yeah, nobody goes to Hooters and doesn't question their existence afterwards, right? It's like going to Waffle House. That's the place I promised you, Waffle House. It's like going to Waffle House at 3 o'clock in the morning and then sobering up while you're eating eggs and then questioning what led you there. Nobody goes there and leaves happy. It's just like, oh, I got a hangover. I got to eat some eggs or something.
The thing is, Waffle House seems like the best place. Like there are waffles. What's the problem? Hooters. The thing is, when we did a Christmas lunch. I did it with a client of mine, and I was invited to their lovely Christmas lunch. And there was one guy who's a lovely guy, but I was wearing a sort of low cut thing, and he, like we kept, when you sort of catch someone in looking at your boobs. And then it's tiniest bit awkward. Like it's just a moment of like, and then you keep going. You pretend it didn't happen, right? But then there is a sort of you sort of expect it to not happen again every other moment for the rest of the conversation. But it did. And at some point, I was.
Something?
No, I just sort of carried I took on the emotional labor by pretending not to see. I didn't look him in the eyes because it's so awkward for both of us. Like it's not a problem. I do understand that boobs are like it's something. It's not a conscious decision, I suppose.
Well, at one point you have to master the art of being discreet, right? Like I can carry a conversation, dude. This is funny. You'll love this story. So I had the privilege of interviewing Elvira, and I've been in love with that woman for many years. Cassandra Peterson is a good. And I remember like prepping for the interview. She was about to come on, and I'm like, whatever you do not look at her cleavage. Don't mess it up. And then I hyped myself so much that I was like, I'm gonna fuck this up. I'm gonna end up saying boobs like within the first second as soon as she shows up, and that's how it's going to end because it was gonna go live. No, but luckily everything went smooth.
At no point did you point out, but you did sneak a peek, though.
Well, yeah, I'm a gentleman, right?
Yeah,
like
sure.
I'm very discreet about it. Yes. Peripheral vision is very important. You have to master that art, And then sometimes you get caught off guard. I'm off my game. Oh, damn it.
Yeah, but after the fourth time, then it's time to you have to make an effort. Because I was making the effort. That was my problem with this sort of situation. I was making the effort to be like, I'm going to look away now. So no one, I love that this is, I'm sorry if it came for the comics. We will talk about Catwoman at some point, I promise. Or maybe not, maybe we shouldn't. Or maybe we should just keep it separate.
No, please tell me, wait, how does that help you though? Because if you're looking away, if somebody's already looking down there, doesn't that give them more of a chance to look down there?
Oh yeah, but the thing is, I don't have a problem with people. Like if I'm bringing it out there, they can look. That's fine. It's just I'm trying to avoid the horrible, awkward thing of me meeting someone's eyes and then they looking down, because you can always
tell. 4 times?
No, it happened. I would say 24 times or something during this 1.5 hours of lunching politely. And
It's just
and
you
I
and
just
him
feel
or
like
both
at some
people?
point you have to take on some of the responsibility to not have this moment of me being like, ugh. It's so awkward. But I don't know. It was lovely. I do love. I've seen a bunch of people. Usually, I don't see people, but I went to London and I did a signing at Forbidden Planet, and I went
Yeah, my
out to
buddy
drink
Scooter
with
left
the
our.
boys.
Oh, yeah. So you got to hang out with. Did you get to hang out with your friends?
Yeah, and it
Like
was
Garth Ennis.
Garth and Rob Williams and Steve White and Keith Burns, and then the day before we had like Cy Spurrier, like a bunch of lovely people, and it was absolutely great.
Oh, okay. I forgot this part. Thank you, Bruce, for reminding me of this. I did forget the part where I did admit I love, because I was like, I'm going to take my shot. There are only 3 women I think I would say that to besides my wife. And I was like, so as the interview was over, or as it was ending, I was like, I love you. And she was so sweet. She was like, I love you back. And she sent me a picture of her in the Elvira outfit. And I can't find it. I don't know where Melanie put it.
But did you do? Was it in a sort of a lovely way, or was it in a sort of desperate way? That I love you.
Yeah, I love you. No, it came from a place of heart. Like not like I'm gonna take my last shot. More like a genuine like appreciation for her and everything she meant to me growing up. Like, James, you are a freaking master, James. How did you even do it? What did you
so
use?
Impressed. It's so good.
Are we saying boobs are icebreaker? I'm in Colombia holiday to meet mi novia. Hola, hermano. Me gusta mucho tu canal. Muchas gracias, Joey Richards. Un poquito de español. Sorry, Torunn.
No. I feel like I should know Spanish, and sort of. I feel like that's a personal failing. I'll get on it.
There's so much for you to do, though, and so many things to write. Like, okay. So before we talk about all the writing you're doing, I want to go back to this. Was it just you and this guy for an hour and a half, or was it a group?
Oh no, there was a bunch of people. That was the thing, and we were having a lovely conversation. But the thing is, they are. They're great. They're just not. I was telling a lot of silly anecdotes and doing a bunch of things, and it was just like every time I looked at him, his eyes would be at my boobs. And again, that's fine. It's just I'm trying to avoid that moment, that exact moment when we both realize it and he looks up and then it's even more awkward and then we keep on, right? Like I would like to avoid that part. But I mean, he's just an awkward 6-year-old man. Like it's and the thing is, like he's at that age where I think he's never going to learn. Like there's no point in being like, hey, just like, and this isn't some sort of feminist anything. It's fine. It was just awkward. It was just so awkward. And I just feel like, surely we both feel the awkwardness of this moment, but apparently not.
The fact that you looked away, I think, gave him the invitation. If somebody was already doing that, he probably went, "Oh, she's unaware I'm even looking."
But is that the beauty of Hooters, though? Are you supposed to, if you go to a restaurant, can you just look away? Is that sort of the thing? Are you supposed to be like, I'm going to order now, and I'm just going to?
I never think about it because it's never like my.
It's like an absurd thing. You drive, you sit in your car with your kids. You drive to Hooters.
The Hooters. I have never taken my kids to Hooters. I've seen other families there. It's just I never think about these things. I think we end up at Hooters because one of my friends is like, let's go to Hooters. I'm like, no, they got good hot wings. Let's go. And then it just happens. I've been to a work outing there and not thought about it. It is interesting that you mentioned like, are you just supposed to stare?
No, but
yeah,
I mean,
added more rules.
That's literally the name of the restaurant, though. Like you would, that's what there's. It's just odd, is what I'm saying. I wouldn't know what to do, but I look forward to the education that we're going to have when I come to America, and we'll go to all of these places.
You've been to Walmart, right? You've been to a Walmart.
I made Jason Aaron take me to Walmart.
Yes.
And the beauty, I think I've told you this story before, but I mean, the beauty of that thing was that I was going on about how much I wanted to go to Walmart, and he was sort of bemused and sort of, sure, well, okay. And the first thing I heard when I opened the door at Walmart was someone having an argument going, well, fuck you too. And I was just like, this is everything I wanted.
Right?
It's just amazing. And I went in there. I had a sort of panic attack in the sports aisle because it's like it was. There was so many, there's so many fishing rods. Like I wanted to buy shit. I don't fucking know. And then I got a Twinkie because I never had a Twinkie before. I had one bite. It's the most disgusting concoction ever.
I take
then
my European friends to Walmart, and they're in disbelief. And they're very. This has happened every time I take one of my European friends to Walmart. We go to the sporting goods section, and then they get like a diaper or a cart or like a jug of milk, and they get a picture taken with a shotgun and a carton of or a jug of milk or diapers because people in Europe are like, that's the same store. Like no one believes you could get these things at the same store.
It's absolute insanity in the sort of. I'm not sure if it's in the best possible way, but as someone who very much enjoys sort of the parody of America, it was brilliant. Like it was absolutely brilliant. And I had my one bite of a Twinkie, and I told Jason it was fucking disgusting, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, it's Twinkie." So, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna throw it out." And he went, "No, you can't throw it out." And then he had the rest because no one wastes a Twinkie.
You can't waste a Twinkie. We almost had a shortage of Twinkies a few years ago. There was this whole conspiracy, remember?
See, that would be, I mean, it would have been a devastating hit too. I don't even know who eats Twinkies. I don't know who, like, have they never had like a proper pastry? I don't know. I don't understand anything.
You're insulting our American pastry.
I do very much enjoy the fact that there are someone in the chat still trying to talk about comics in a proper. I love you guys so much. It's
Rich is asking Catwoman plans, future DC work. What's going on? Yeah, what's going on?
Well, I can't say a lot, but I will say that I am enjoying Catwoman more than like it's the fucking best. I'm so excited about it. I've just we're doing a sort of like this is a turning point issue that I'm writing right now, and it feels like different and cool in the best possible way. And I hope people enjoy it. I don't know. It's and then future like I can't say anything. I have some Marvel work coming up that I'm super excited about, and I can't say anything about that. I saw a question about creator owned. Let me.
Oh yeah, you have any creators? This is from Reaper XC. Do you have any creator owned?
I have a bunch of things, but I will say, and and this is a serious question for all of you. Like, I'm having some issues figuring out like what kind of stories feel relevant to tell at the current moment, because we've moved our world into science fiction in many ways, right? And we moved our world like far into satire, so that's sort of like you can't really tell anymore if something is satire or not. And I just what kind of stories do you want these days? Like what do you feel like seeing? Is it more dystopian, the world ended, is it like alien stuff, or should one do something completely different, something more heartfelt or romancy or whatever?
So these new absolute titles, and Reaper's mentioning Absolute Hawkman or Hawkwoman by Torunn would be outstanding, are giving people that freedom too. Taking your regular Jason's working on Superman. You take your character that has been around since 1930s and you do your own spin with it. But of course, having to abide by DC laws still. But I thought it would really. It's a really interesting era because Marvel's doing the same thing with the Ultimate Universe, and like Peach Momoko is like, oh my god, writing her own manga, and it just happens to be called X-Men, and I'm loving it. I think that's really cool. So maybe something different is what a lot of people have been wanting. And then, of course, much like the original Ultimate Universe and all the original, what was the alternate DC, the All-Star Universe? People lose interest after a while, and they're like, give me my regular superheroes back.
Yeah, sure. It is a sort of. But the thing is, like, the superheroes are sort of a different thing, but I do find it fascinating that so many things, so many of this like crazy nonsense that I was reading in the 90s, there's some there's some they're coming true now, right? Like you're watching the news and you're sort of like, oh yeah, this is probably happening. Like like if you spend just a tiny bit of time on TikTok, you'll discover that people are fucking insane. And I mean,
I love that you still do that.
but the thing is, like, there is something so beautiful about sort of falling down in some TikTok hole and trying to figure out why a community are angry with each other. And there's always something extremely weird, right? That there will always be like some, like, I wonder if I told you this before, but I was sort of stuck on the like witch talk, like witches. Yeah, and they were arguing about how you dispose of a specific kind of bone because of some sort of closed spirit loop, and they were having like a whole thing arguing about things that like no one else in this world is giving a shit about. But it's a beautiful thing, right? But we have reached a point where like everything you've seen in fiction is sort of coming true. All the AI stuff is sort of like you could do something that could happen before the book is out, you know, like it's a weird time to be alive, and I realized like I'm trying to get back to some sort of very basic how is life supposed to work, and I'm trying to figure out how we can write that in an interesting way without turning into a sad bastard, you know. That's where I am. So as for the question about creator owned, yes, I am absolutely doing some creator owned, but I'm sort of stuck between. I have like 4 projects that are ready to go, and I'm trying to figure out like which two to execute properly, because I can't sort of figure out if like I'm sort of scared that by the time like the one book that I think is probably the best one, like if you know all the drones and orbs, if there are actually aliens, then my book will be that's not going to work. That would be stupid.
If they're actually aliens,
have you not been watching the all the orbs and drones and shit?
No, apparently there was this whole thing in New Jersey I missed out on about, and I'm just like, so we had a get together for my cousin yesterday. It was her birthday, and we threw her a party, and she's been wonderful, like helping me get back or staying sane and normal. And there were a couple people there that were talking about the drones and talking about, but when the way they were talking about it was like everybody knows.
Yeah,
because barely you know.
On TikTok.
And I'm dude, and I think for the first time I was like, so this is what it's like when I don't watch like TikTok or trending things. I feel like I'm so out of the loop.
Yeah, you're missing the alien invasion or whatever the fuck it is. Like the fascinating thing is like when, because the answers are sort of not good enough, and it is fascinating to sort of see the conspiracy theories being sort of built in real time, like day by day. It's a wonderful thing, and I do find it fascinating that it seemed like many people, including myself, are sort of like, we're hoping for aliens at this point. We're just hoping something so disruptive. Can we just give us aliens? Just let's go. Let's just get a punch in the face so we can, I don't know, because the rest of the news, it's so stupid. Like it's so incredibly stupid to just every time you get a piece of news you're like, oh, is it the Onion or is it not? And it's not.
They're talking about the kind of story they enjoy. Somehow Omar is on the internet but not online. No, man, I feel out of the loop. People were talking about it. I'm like, New Jersey, like they were talking about drones, and I'm like, what? We need aliens over a civil war. Watchmen is real. It's gonna unite the world, right? I feel like that is a comic book or a movie or show.
Yeah, but it's like I was talking to someone who there's a Chinese car. There's a bunch of Chinese car. We buy a lot of electric cars in Norway because we're good people, and we're not insane.
You haven't had Hooters. Go ahead.
But we don't. Then again, we don't have Hooters, so we're also a little behind. But they were talking about how they were taking into one of those mountainous cave things to try to shut off every signal the car was giving off, because they were like, oh, there's a lot of electricity, like lots of data things in this car that we can't explain. So we're trying to figure out sort of what is it sending information back to China, like what's going on. And I love that just it's not even a footnote, like it's just like whatever, like no one gives like of course everyone's spying on, like whatever, we don't give a shit. It's a fascinating time to be alive, is what I'm saying, when we're being sort of sanded down. All our patience and all our sort of cares are just like, sure, all of these things are happening, let's whatever. And then Christmas comes along and we're like, oh, but we have a tree, we have food, and as long as no one fucks with the Christmas rib, we'll be fine.
You've got fans. Look, I love it. I love seeing you get excited over you being here. James is
to death. Yes, the thing is, I have a great fucking alien book, so I'm gonna see, because the crazy people on TikTok are predicting that something's gonna happen in January. So I'm gonna wait until January.
Is it the new thing? Was it a Mayan calendar? What calendar is this? Where did this prediction come from?
I think like channeling or something.
Oh,
I don't know, Omar. I'm procrastinating. I'm not doing research. I'm just, but it is sort of like, I'm going to wait until after January, and then I'll let's do the daily book, because it's going to be so good.
Look at this, from Hacker Arcade. Torunn, found you through Red.
Thank you.
Loved your writing. Really enjoying Catwoman as well. And it is the calendar from the ancient civilization of TikTok.
Yes, Kyle, that is exactly it. That's what we're doing. Yeah, that would be, it might, who knows at this point? Like, it's got to be great.
Oh, this is a question I never seen for you. Whose football club are you a fan of? Are you a fan of football?
I like that you would assume that I like. I would say that I'm a fan of whatever football team people gives me much drink and a foam finger, and then I'll cheer for your thing. I'll do my best, but I will say that football is sort of one of those, like I need to be heavily invested. I need to have other people be heavily invested, and I need it to be sort of the best football, because bad football is so boring. Nothing happens. It's dreadful. Or you can go to like really horrific football where like everything, like everyone scores all the time. That's kind of amusing. But no, like I'll go with whoever finds it really funny, and then I'll have a good time. I desperately want to go to some sort of sporting event in America and do like, the barbecue thing, the tail, whatever the fuck.
Tailgating?
Yeah.
Tailgating? Okay.
Like if there's food, drink, and screaming,
yeah.
I feel like I can get into it.
I think that you would be in the right, I think you would fit right into that. I can see that. Yeah. What kind of sport do you want to see though? They do that a lot for football. I don't see it for baseball that often, but it does happen.
I used to play handballs. I love watching handball because I know it so well. But I'm not really a sports person. I would love to be. I think there's something so fundamentally fantastic about just caring deeply about something that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That sounds great. So I would love to have a team. I just don't. But I will, like, if I have friends who are exceptionally excited about something, I will go to a game and get drunk and shout and do all the things, because that is funny. Like it's a great time.
Yeah, people get really into it. Like, I don't think I haven't seen it as crazy as, like, where was I? Like, South Americans get crazy and rowdy. Like, So much so that they end up like getting the cartel involved, and then they kill a soccer player because he did not score the goal he was supposed to, and it gets crazy down there.
I don't. Where's the sportsmanship in that? Like that's not great.
Yeah, it was insane. Torunn, was your choice to use the third-person narration in Catwoman to make Selina feel more unknowable and mysterious? Was that your choice, or does that come from somebody like the editor?
No, that came from me, and that was pretty much exactly why. But and I will spoil this a little bit by saying that at some point we jump into first person for a specific thing, and it's hopefully, according to the editors, it felt like a sort of a punch in the gut, which was what I was going for. So, well, I mean, we'll see if it works, but I hope it does. So I'm playing around with it and trying to, because like I love Selina first person, and I think the only thing I'm really sort of missing with the Catwoman run so far is the sort of intimate scenes with Selina where you're in her head and you can sort of you feel with her instead of just having the sort of cold narration on top. But hopefully, like if you just tag along, we'll get there. This is the Carnage lady. I forget. First of all,
I like that, the Carnage lady.
I love being the Carnage lady. That's the best thing.
Will there ever be more Red Sonja from Torunn? I'm loving the series.
I'm so happy you do, Charlie. I'm writing, like, that is the thing that I'm doing. I'm writing the last issue of my run for now. And there have been tears today because it's just so emotional, and I can't seem to. You can't do too much emotion with Sonja without sort of breaking it. So I'm sort of I'm weeping, and she's looking back at me from the screen, being like, "Fuck you, get on with it." What the fuck is this?
How many issues have you written? It's been a couple of years since you've been writing.
Yeah, I'm on issue 18 now, I think.
Good. Good that we need a big oversized hardcover. Like Gail Simone's is feeling lonely right there. We need a Red Sonja by Torunn Grønbekk. And I will pick.
The thing is, like, it's been such a joy, and Walter, he drew the team into like, I had one of those panels. There's a lot of war in this book, and I at this point I do very sort of like the scripts are very detailed, and I'll be like, in the foreground there's a guy getting decapitated, in the background there's this and there's some eyeballs there and whatever. And at this point I just have to go, like, just make it horrible. You know what I want. Just make it as horrible as possible. And he drew the team in as 4 dying characters today. So I have an axe in the top of my head, and blood is coming out of my eyes, and like, it's a beautiful thing, and it made me cry again because it's just, I love these guys, and I would love to work with Walter on something else, or the entire team really, because they're so good people.
I'd love to see you all on something else too, because it's been enjoyable to catch those on, in paperback format, and they really do need like an oversized treatment. Hello, Torunn. We can definitely tailgate at a Dallas Cowboys football game. Don't expect them to win, though.
Sure. Oh, well, I mean, as long as we can cheer and be loud, I'm happy with that. And someone's, I will need a quick explanation of the rules in American football. But then again, I do realize, like, is it one thing that men love to do is just explain sports, so that shouldn't be a problem.
Explain sports and comedy.
I love that we got to Columbia's plagued with drugs. We do like, when we have a conversation, we do get around, Omar. We do jump around to a lot of. Should we fix Columbia while we're at it? Do you have
do you have a mouse in your pocket? What's this Wii stuff? I'm not fixing it. I can't even fix my head.
You're not fixing Columbia? I heard that, like, isn't
true. Buddy, how are you? Hope the London trip was fun. Oh, that's right. He was Artworks was from there. I'm from up far end of the country couldn't make it down.
See, it was the fucking best. It was the thing I will say about the Brits, the fucking Brits, and I do love the Brits, but Jesus Christ, you drink a lot. And we had that wonderful day. We had a Friday where we all met up, and we got so drunk, and it was a beautiful thing. And I was like, oh, this is the drunk day. That was what I thought it was going to be, and it was a lovely time. And by the end of it, there was singing in the restaurant, and everyone was merry, and it was a very Christmassy thing, right? And then we met up for breakfast the following day. And when I got there were already sort of drinks at the table. And I was like, oh, so this is what kind of day it's going to be. We had the signing was at 2. The breakfast was like 10:30 or something. So we had breakfast and we had drinks, and then we went to a pub to have some more drinks. Had a quick trip to a bookstore, some more drinks, and then we went to the signing. And I was sort of like, oh, this is going to be amazing. And I keep remembering sort of like stunted pieces of conversation that I told real people that I've never met before and hopefully will never see again. And it was insane. Like I should always sign things drunk. That was the best part. But then again, I'm sorry if I told you awful things. I'm sorry if you were
if you were at the signing and she told you awful things. Do you have any plans to go back to London? Did you enjoy it so much that you would go back?
Oh yeah, and I think Rebellion was talking about getting me back in London like quite early next year, and I'm there all the time.
You know, those guys are really cool, and they've invited me to shows. And I always think doing this for a living is a blessing, but I also have to like make decisions. Like I can only go to like either New York or San Diego, and I think next year we're going to do San Diego. And I was like, London would be really cool, though. I've never been.
London would be really cool. You should do London and get drunk and
yeah, I could do that.
Sing on the street and do all of the Britain things.
Have fish and chips, like legit fish and chips.
Yep. I went to Birmingham to visit John McCrae at some point.
Oh, really? Love that guy.
Oh yeah, I love him so much, and it was great. And we drove to sort of the chip shop to get fish and chips, and I would say they sold chips by sort of the mound. Like it was just sort of like a mound of chips, and there was a selection of people that I would like. It would be I'll charitably describe them as people. They were not people shaped in any way. It was just it was a strange set of creatures in this shop. And at some point, and John reminded me because he was there in London on the drinky signing thing. And at some point, one of the women went, "I'm on a diet, so just keep hold the mayo or something, or light on the mayo." And it was just like a mound of chips, and they were putting on vinegar. And it never ended with the vinegar and then mayo on top. And I got to tell you, it's the best chips I've ever had. It was fucking wonderful, but I had a heart attack after two of them. Like it is the most. Birmingham was a spectacle of a place, but I love it. And I do love how the Brits don't seem to, they don't show those people out into the world. It's all sort of like tea and it's all very neat and wonderful and like London English
side of the Brits. Yes.
Yeah.
But you're saying you got to see the underbelly of the beast.
Yeah, Birmingham.
And it has a lot of chips. I
loved it. I did really love Birmingham. I just want to say, and the chips. I'm just saying that's a lot of vinegar on your amount of chips. Anyway, Aaron, I'm sorry that we're talking about everything but comics.
I think people get an idea of what this is like. He loved the representation of the Garden of Time and Carnage tie-in. The human's flesh slowly transforming into flowers was so disturbing.
I love it when people catch details like that. That's the best feeling in the world. Like sincerely. So thank you for that. Sometimes I wonder because I had all of these crazy ideas, and Perry's been doing such a wonderful job sort of working in the even if it fucking kills him, right? And at some point I had like a statue of people all cuddled together, and obviously he's not allowed to show any titties or anything. So he has to make it sort of as disturbing as you want, while sort of contorting all of these people to not show any body parts while they're being naked. Like, it's a whole thing. And it's just like in the background, like
when you're following those guidelines, that you were like, okay, you can't show a nipple, and you still have to make it super violent and make it believable that these people are nude, right? Like completely naked.
Oh yeah, and he did that beautifully. But I'm just, it just makes me so happy when people actually catch those details as well, because he killed himself doing it, and I was so excited about it. This whole garden thing, and I don't know, it's thank you for that. That's great. This is lovely. We should talk about comics.
We should talk about comics more. Oh yes, so people, people have been telling me about Thought Bubble.
Oh yeah, you would love it.
When is Thought Bubble? What time of year? It's in November, so it's in the.
It's November in Harrogate, and so you'll probably like fly into London, and then you'll spend a day getting stuck on some train station in the middle of fucking nowhere between London and Harrogate, and then it's the best weekend of your life. It's great.
Lots of drinking. I like that.
There's a lot of drinking. But it's also like it's one of those like everyone's there. No one seems to be very sort of precious about anything. So it's just everyone's there to enjoy themselves, which is a lovely thing.
That's the way it should be. I felt like you went. Let's see, the American show that you went to was Baltimore, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
because I got to see you at Baltimore a couple of years ago, and you didn't do a show this year in America in 2024. Are you thinking about doing one in 2025?
Yeah, sure. It depends on who invites me, I suppose. It's what I've realized. This might sound a little something, but I realized that I need someone there that I know that I will enjoy hanging out with. If that doesn't sound awful, because it's just like sometimes you'll go to a con and you'll do your thing and you'll sign all day and you'll talk to people as much as you can, and then the reward is the lovely people, the other comics people, right? Mm-hmm. That's So, but if you don't have those people and you get stuck with sort of other strangers at night, it can be a little something.
I don't know if you've heard this story about Mark Waid. Mark Waid told me many years ago when he was writing The Flash, so it must have been in the mid-90s, he got invited to a convention. And they flew him out there and cab picked him up from the airport. And he shows up at the address. And the address is like a home address. And he's like, it's just weird.
No.
And apparently, it was like 5 friends that got together, got their money to get Mark Waid to come to their house and just kind of hang out with him. And I was like, oh, God. But you were like, I'm just waiting for somebody to invite me.
No, like, oh my God. That is, I've heard of this happen to other people too. I think it's a sort of, I think it can happen. But that's insane though. Like that is
like that's so expensive to try to get somebody to come and hang out with you.
So I wonder how much you have to pay Mark Waid to come and hang with you for a weekend.
I don't know. That was in the 90s. He's got to be a lot more expensive now, right?
Oh my God.
That had to have been so weird. Do you have a new hobby or intrusive thoughts lately?
I have so many of all of those things. I've started I've started doing but first of all, I got a 3D printer. I got us as a family a 3D printer for Christmas. I already have one, but it was a resin one, and this is a bamboo one, which is just so much less work and do whatever the fuck you want. And it's a ridiculous fun thing. So that's a hobby, I suppose. Just print a bunch of nonsense and paint them. And it's the thing is, like, I love Warhammer, and aircraft models. But the worst part of it is sticking them all together, because I will necessarily sort of glue my eyelashes to in my thumb or something. So this is like painting models. It's all the fun and none of the glue, which is fucking great.
I didn't know you were doing that. I just realized I've been using the wrong mic the entire time. Give me 1 second, Torunn. I'm gonna hook this mic up and I'm gonna let you answer. I'm gonna let you answer this question. Thank you for bringing that up. Nobody was talking about. I'll get it, my love. Melanie wants. Oh, you want to come say hi?
Yeah,
Melanie.
Conversation, and I was like,
I'm gonna let you talk to my wife while I go
Yes,
and
please.
this mic issue. There you go, baby. She's all yours.
there's not a lot of room here.
Can you just take his seat?
Right
What?
now.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. This is good.
There we go.
Hey, how are you? Oh.
Good. I was taking a cat day. I was trying to do nothing and just lie on the floor.
Oh,
But-
is that a cat day? That's fucking excellent.
Yes. That's what I've decided. I decided today in my craft room, I love lying on my floor on my yoga mat and listening to like music. And I was reading Cable and Deadpool and Ice Cream Man. And but then I had to pick up my daughter. So I started listening to your all's interview. And I was like, oh, I really liked her and I want to talk to her too.
I love that you're interrupting your cat day for us. Can I see your hair? It's so cool.
Thank you.
What did you do?
Yesterday.
Oh my
So
god.
it's kind of hard to see. The purple isn't it'll fade. It's not as bright as the blue here. But when it's down, like it's just black, the top layer. And then when I pull it back.
See, I don't think I can. I don't think I could pull that off. I think it would. I think it would be one of those. Oh, you're trying too hard. Like you have to.
Does it sound better now, everybody? Let me know if it sounds better. I'm so sorry about that. I'm glad somebody mentioned the popping. I was like, I didn't notice.
Oh yeah, I thought it was like a little echoey. So maybe
because it was
fixed it.
the camera mic that was picking it up. So thank you all. You want me to leave you and Torunn alone so you can talk about your hair?
No.
I'm looking at. I figured out how to see the chat live now, which is fucking great. I want to go to Indiana and the military museum. That would be great. James, can you just arrange some sort of Comic-Con and bring me there? I'll come.
James is the story that I told you about Mark Waid. Him and 4 guys are going to pay you.
Right. I'll hang out in your basement if it just means I'll get a few days.
They'll pay you money. It's called the James Abel Con. It's new.
We're enabling comic creators to come to the US. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, that's all we want. I want to go to all your museums, and because the lovely thing, no one else is there, which is a ridiculous thing. And I want to see all your tanks and shit. That's what I want to do. And
nobody else at the museum. At the museum?
Yeah.
Oh. No, in New York it was really busy and.
Oh yeah, but I mean the thing is like you don't want tourists, right? You want the aircraft geeks. That's who you want. You want the people who you can like discuss stupid like what's the difference between a Mark 11 and a Mark 16 Spitfire or something. Those are the guys.
No, because you're very knowledgeable about that stuff.
I wouldn't say knowledgeable. I would say we call it Nigeling. When you turn into a Nigel.
Yeah, people haven't seen your ceiling and your workspace. I'm not telling you to do it. Like, go to her Instagram. It is amazing. Like,
nonsense. There's so much nonsense. Like they're planes and swords. That's what you do.
You're such a badass. You're such a badass.
I like but the thing is, like, usually I would say something like, well, as someone, I haven't left the house in 2 months, but I have now. I went to London, so I actually did leave the house. And I'm gonna because we touched on 40K. I will say that I do, because I wrote the Sisters of Battle book. I'm sort of Sisters of Battle lately. Like, that's what I'm doing. I'm sorry.
No,
it was a 40K question. I'm sorry.
That's awesome though. The Indiana Military Museum is across the street from a cemetery.
Okay. James.
Wait, you're opening yourself too much there, James.
Our town has a little military museum.
Our what?
Our town.
Dude, I ain't never been to that museum.
No, I think I did when I was like.
I think it's like a Civil War museum, though. Like that kind of work. Honestly, I think James can organize the whole thing somehow.
Yeah, that is good. But I do love the tiny American museums. Like I went to the Jesse James house up in Fuckville somewhere. Oh, this is great. Thanks, Kjartan. I enjoy that. And the thing about
what's it say?
I just feel horrible. It says it's Norway's best as a comic writer, I suppose.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it like with a preface that it's not in Norway though, like because in Norway there would be someone else, which is sort of true.
You're so humble.
Yeah. I don't know. So I'm the best one working outside of Norway, which is great. But the Jesse James house. So you go there, right? And at some point, because it's Jesse James's house, and they moved it. And this is one of those things where I think like I don't think men in general get enough credit for.
We don't. No, I agree with you.
I don't think so. Because at some point they've been like Jesse James, national hero, right? But the house is important because it has like the bullet hole and everything. So we need the house, but we can't have the house here. So we're going to move the house. And this was like fucking ages ago, before they had any actual equipment to move houses. And they were like, we're going to move it. So they moved the house. And that's a good thing because that's a big chunk of history right there, because you have to fill the house with Jesse James history, which is hard to do. And there's one guy who sort of runs the place, and Jesse James is it's his life, right? So if you sort of suggest that he might not have been the most important historical figure ever, he's gonna kill you. Like it's the best thing. And I brought Jason Aaron, or I made Jason take me, I should say. So he's sort of like, he's been there before. He knew what to expect. And he was sort of walking around being like, are you enjoying this? This is a comb from the general air. Like this could have been in Jesse James's house. It probably wasn't, but it could have been. Are you enjoying the comb? Like, yeah, I truly am. It's the fucking best. If you go back on my Instagram, I think there's a video where you can hear the audio because I have like a tape going. And then you can walk through the 4 rooms and look at all the combs and the neckties and be like, this gesture. I fucking love it. It was great.
I went to the Thomas Edison house, but I don't really remember much. But I got a button that says enlightening, and it has like a light bulb, and that's it.
He was known for his wit.
Yeah.
He was known for his wit, yeah. We went to New York, and she was just like, we saw Starry Night, the Van Gogh.
Yes, I love. He's one of my favorites. I love.
And she was just there looking at it for a long time.
Which I think is
great.
Yeah,
she went back twice. It's beautiful.
That's what you do with art. You look at it for a long time.
Yeah, Omar.
You feel
I am familiar with the concept of looking at paintings. Yes, thank you, Torunn. I appreciate that. I have some culture,
but it is a fascinating thing when you go to a museum with and you realize you don't share the same pace as the other ones. And I have that problem a lot when I go to some sort of aircraft nonsense. I realized I don't want people to go unless they're exactly as interested as I am. I want to be able to look at the thing for a long fucking time, take some pictures and go to the other side of the thing and just spend forever. And it turns out you can't do that with other people.
Well, just like he can't go to They Might Be Giants concert because
that's not art.
And it could not be enjoying it.
I'm going to compare the Starry Night to a horrible band.
Well, no, just you don't take people that wouldn't be interested because you don't want to be rushed or feel bad that they're
that's what you mean.
Yeah. And it is a sort of like I went to the museum, the art museum in Chicago, the Field Museum, which was fucking amazing. And it took me completely off guard. I wasn't aware of how fucking amazing it would be. And that was one of those times where I realized I fucked up. I brought like I brought a very good friend of mine and another good friend of mine, and they have very different paces. So one of them just sloped off, which I think was good for her. And then at some point I realized I have to get the other one out of here because she's gonna like eat us or something. She's gonna kill us. Like it's gonna be horrible. But I don't know. I like museums alone unless you're very specifically as interested in some possible way.
Gotcha.
I like, but I'm looking at the chat again. I like that Bar is trying to sell Jerusalem. I think if you have Jerusalem, you sort of you don't need to.
It's historical and whatever.
It's historical enough.
We know what happened there, Bar.
Yeah, that's. I feel like that. Like I don't have anything that cool. I mean, I have the Northern Lights and reindeer stew, but there's nothing. I don't know. But I've actually been there. I've been to Tel Aviv and Jerusalem, and why can't I say it? Jerusalem. And it was great. It was beautiful and hot, and like it is a fascinating thing when you're a Norwegian to be somewhere where it's both dark and hot. It feels exotic in a way because it never happens here. Like if it's hot here, it's going to be light. That's always the case. So I realized when I got there that it felt so different in so many ways, and but the food was great and people were nice, and it was great. Right. But they did at some point. I was thrown out of the Wailing Wall because I was not dressed appropriately. Oh, so that's something.
You've been thrown out of the?
Yeah, they pulled me away. We're like, at those elbows, fuck you.
Wow. I used to live fairly close to Charlie Chaplin's house in South London.
Did you go there?
Have you ever been? Yeah. Which museum was it that burned down? And when they rebuilt everything on display was like what the person would have used.
Just rebuilt everything like stone. I don't know. I don't know. Dude, figure it out and tell us.
Oh, all right.
You should go to the Smithsonian.
Yes, I should. I really should.
Usually have more stamina for museums than most others if it's about something I'm really interested in.
See, but that's the thing. Like, don't go to museums if you're not interested. That's like, why would you? Unless you're trying to, expand your horizons or some shit. But just why would you? Like, there's not horizon. We learn enough. So just go to the place you're super interested in. And if you don't want to see a Spitfire or 16, just have a coffee while I watch them forever and ever. I went to Duxford again with my boys, like with Rob Williams and Steve Wythe and Keith Burns, my favorite like aircraft painter ever, aviation artist, I suppose, and Garth this September. And it was the fucking best because we're equally nerdy about things. We would just stand there watching it. At some point they had 16 Merlins flying at the same time, and we all sort of like we were all just screaming our pants next to each other while looking at the aircraft. It was great.
That's awesome. And okay, how these comic collected editions are niche. That's niche. Aviation artists.
What?
I never even thought about it, right? But like
but there's a whole scene, right?
So in case people don't know, they all work on the Rebellion comic, the
battle action. Yeah, but the thing about Keith, he does like aviation art, like fine art, and there's a whole scene, like there's a whole like aviation artists. There's some really brilliant ones out there. And he's won like aviation artist of the year at some point, which he he very much deserves. He did like that one right there. That's one of Keith's. That one. And then I have another one right up there. That's from Johnny Red.
Wait, go back up there for a second. No, that's a beautiful piece. But what's that Akira?
Oh, that's a strange. I think it's a piece that I sort of picked up at some con at some point. And I'm trying to remember, but it was done sort of in the style of someone, and I love it so much. And it's just a nice print that I at some point picked up because I do like it's my favorite thing about comic, anything, just walking around looking at it. Like the art is the best part of comics. Let's face it.
Yeah,
Like,
you
I
actually
like.
Sally.
Yeah.
I think that's because, well, you know, and I'm sure if you're new to the channel, you've never heard Torunn speak. She's also a wonderful painter, like absolutely stunning. If you
I'm so stuck on a painting right now, so I'm happy to hear you say it. I can't believe it, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
I do portraity stuff, so like that.
Is that yours right there, right?
Did you ever find out the identity of that one dude?
Which dude?
Yeah, right. Why can't you read my mind? Because I signed up for your Substack today, and it was like an older gentleman, and you were like, "Does anybody know the identity of this man? You'd make an artist happy." Oh, never mind. Let me look it up.
Are you sure it was Torunn Substack? Not Chip Zdarsky.
No, it's Torunn.
Oh, that is. Let's see.
Substack.
James is just on it.
Dude, James, like a machine.
It's so good.
Somebody was asking
and
for
very smooth with the ladies. It's only High Jerusalem because of all the very beautiful women. Have you seen Bart? Very smooth.
He's smooth.
I bet you could make eye contact and not look down. You wouldn't catch him.
James?
No, absolutely.
This dude. Oh yeah, no. I know I know the identity. I was just trying to see if other people would see that is Oddball. Yeah, thank you. That's Oddball from Kelly's Heroes.
It is. Oh,
yeah. But the thing is, like, it's one of those, like, if you're a portrait artist, there is a special kind of delight when people actually see who you're trying to paint. And when Sutherland died earlier this year, I was sort of it hit me in a way that I wasn't sort of expecting. And I wanted to, because Oddball is one of the best characters ever. I think everyone should see, like, what are you doing? Go watch Kelly's Heroes. It's the best movie. And it was a nice excuse to just watch the movie over and over again and be delighted.
If you ever come to North Dakota, you can visit the Badlands and the Chateau de Moore, home of the Marquis de Moore.
Yeah,
that one.
Sure. That sounds. What did he do? Am I being an idiot now?
No. I vaguely remember seeing it while on a school trip to the Imperial War Museum or something.
You didn't go into the Imperial, like, why would you
pretty close to
toss it?
It out. We didn't go inside.
Logan, it's the best place.
Look, here's a question. You can read the first part, and I'll read the second part.
It's just hate from Sweden.
Oh, okay. Thank you. How would one go about getting work commissioned by Torunn? Is it at all possible?
Just send me a message. Just know that I'm, like, if it's a portrait commission, I'm very sort of, I will paint whatever, but I'm also I would only do something that I think I would do well. And sometimes I'll get requests that are very sort of I can see where the person is going, but it's obviously, like, it'll be, I got a request from someone being like, hey, my daughter died 20 years ago. So can you paint her as she would be today with angel wings over a field? And I'm like, no, I can't do that though. Like, that sounds awful to try to do. And I would fail you, and I would stay up forever hating myself. So I only try to do the things. I like to paint, surly people being surly. That's what I'll do. I'll paint anyone as long as I can make them a little cranky. I want people to look at them and be like, well, he's not a happy man. He's got character. That's what I'm going for.
I'm gonna commission when you come to America and we go to Waffle House on our Hooters Waffle House trip. I'm gonna commission you to paint us hanging out at Waffle House in the style of that. Oh, what is that famous painting? The diner painting.
Oh yeah. Which is. And it's in. I saw it in fucking Chicago. That's what. It's
in Chicago. Okay.
Yeah. We should do that, and then we'll have a discussion on how much of the boobies we should feature. Like, what's the respectful amount of boobies from Hooters?
All of them. Would you do covers? That is something we have talked about. Have you?
I'm painting one right now, and it's killing me, but I'm doing my best.
What's it
for? It's for battle action. So I got to the point where I'm sort of like, I have a thing. There's a painting, but Nina, who's my main character, she doesn't look sort of displeased enough. I want her to look at you like she's like, what the fuck, why are you here, what's the point of you? That's what I'm trying to paint, and it's not quite there. It's killing me.
Thank you, James. You are a true artiste. Think how
I know.
What are you even using?
That's his specialty. Like, he does fucking commissions.
Okay, apparently from Wikipedia, the Marquis was a French duelist, frontier ranchman in the battle.
That sounds fucking amazing. I would like to.
And during the final years of the American Old West era, railroad pioneer in Vietnam and anti-Semitic. Okay, not so badass as the first part.
No, that checks out. All of that checks out. I don't think, like, if you're getting into the duelists from France, they were not necessarily great people when they got over to anywhere in America. Really, it's if you really want to lose all faith in humanity, just read up on your. The colonizers, the ones. I don't know. Say, that's good. Thank you.
I'm just here to say I've been loving Catwoman.
Oh,
I love to hear it. That is, thank you.
That's what I'm wondering too, Joe. What kind of keyboard does James have? All right. So, Bar just wants to say goodbye, and she said,
"Bye, Bar.
Nice
it's always lovely to see your name."
And she said, "Please join more often." And I agree, but she's such a busy lady. She's trying to paint covers now. And write scripts and not have a mental.
I think the main problem is, like, what am I doing here? I haven't given you anything of substance. I don't know. It's just nonsense. That's the problem. But I love this. This is like, I miss you guys so much. But I'm.
Oh my god! I want to have.
You're so hard on yourself.
I want to have you and Jason Aaron on at the same time.
Oh, you should make that happen. And we should drink.
How? Oh my god! Yes, let's do that. And to see, because he's so soft spoken, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how that would go. Like, how would he get it worded? Like, oh man, and I love talking to Jason too. He's such a good dude.
He's one of my favorite people in the entire world, and I realized at some point, like, the sweet man, because I wanted to go to Walmart and to Jesse James's house and do all of these things. I wanted to go to Arby's, for fuck's sakes, and he took me to Arby's because I was like, I've heard about Arby's. Is it as terrible as they say? Yes, it is. Like, it is a drip.
Really good. And the curly.
They got horsey sauce. They got the Arby's sauce. Yeah, man.
But I just love how they were just like we're not going to pretend with lettuce. We're not going to put anything green in there. We're not even going to. We're just, you want the meat? Here's the meat and the bread. What's the problem? Like, it's fucking amazing. But the thing is, I realized when I was talking to Jason and we were having this like lovely 9-hour conversation, and it felt like a fucking privilege because he's so smart and he's so like mindful and thoughtful and so full of love. It's just I find it a privilege to call him my friend just because he's truly one of the best of the best. And I think, like, I wish people could see I wish people could get more Jason Aaron. So let's do that. Let's have a drinking.
No, seriously. I will say this also to add of how genuine he is. When I posted about my dad passing away, there were creators that left a message or reached out, and he was one of those people that said something really beautiful, and I'll always remember that. And I mean, it's not like I'm holding people accountable to like say something, but I just thought you went out of your way to say something sweet, and
because he's
remember that.
Yeah, and he's a good dude, and he something like that. He would, that's a real thing, right? He's not thinking about like how that's going to look online because it's just one of the great ones.
And that's what I think like about too. I think and then the same is about like this, I feel the same about you. You're one of the great people out there, like genuine. I like that.
That's so sweet.
I
feel like we've.
Whenever you come and do interviews, whenever I've done interviews, you have different people that are business. Like, I got 30 minutes, man. Let's talk about the book. Let's talk about this, or it's fun to get to know the different types of people behind the scenes that are working on these books. But man, ever since like talking to you the first time, it just felt like I've I've known you for a long time, and it was nice. And it felt like it didn't feel like an interview. It was just us hanging out and then laughing my ass off for like 2 hours with you.
Yeah, and it was good because we had like a 2-hour stream. Most wonderful like I love your like the Minties, like the best. This is like it's the best people on the internet. Like somehow you did it. Like you did it. So that was wonderful. I didn't expect that at all. To just like so many nice people, and then we had like a 3-hour conversation after the stream where you told me all the like the good stuff, which was fucking excellent.
Yeah, and that was wonderful, because sometimes I think you do connect with people in life, no matter where you're from or what walks of life you come from. And it's the comic books that brought us together, so it's great. Are you saying Puritans weren't great? They gave us the great things like witchfinders, nicest people.
Yeah.
No, Arby's doesn't have vegetables. They have horsey sauce and Arby's sauce.
But I just enjoy the fact that they gotten to the point where it's just like, we're not even going to pretend anymore. We're not gonna. It's not really a sandwich. It's just meat. Like, and it's just, I don't know. And I thought that I would be like the dream. Turns out it's not. Like, I like the little pretend piece of lettuce on top of a sandwich, but it was great, and we did. So we
lettuce.
Yeah, but that's what it is, right? And we had that moment of where I was, and you have to drive there too, right? Because that's what I find fascinating about America. Like you get in a car, you drive 35 minutes for fucking Arby's, and I realized when I was sort of there with fucking poor Jason, who's just like chatting away, and we were discussing a Valkyrie thing, and Jason is so like, he's so sweet because we started writing Valkyrie together. I took over for Al, and almost immediately Jason was like, I'm just trying to hand you the book, like can't you just take it? And I didn't want to, like, I didn't feel like I could be like, hey Marvel, I'm just gonna write the book now. Like, that just didn't feel right. But we had this conversation at Arby's where we're discussing sort of the next part of Valkyrie, and I was going on and on about everything, and he was just sitting there with his like enjoying his meat stick, and being like, yeah, that's you're so good, you can do this, you got it, just do it. And I don't know, he's a good man.
And I love that. That was the first time I had seen your work, reading those Valkyrie issues.
Yeah, and I think, and the thing, but like, I got to work for Marvel because of Jason, because he, at some point after meeting me, he went out, found my work, sent it over to Will Moss at Marvel, and said, hey, we should give Torunn a shot, which is it's such a wonderful thing to do in the first place, because when you're like, if you're trying to break into comics, one of the hardest things to do as a writer is to get people to write or read your stuff. Like, it's easier to be just like, hey, here's a page I did that's brilliant, you can retweet it or whatever, right? But having people actually go in and read your book, it can be a little it can be hard to do. So it was just, I'm forever grateful to Jason, and I feel good about having sort of like, if I'm going to have a debt of gratitude to anyone, it's going to be Jason. Like, that feel good about that.
But isn't I think, to me, that's the way life is, right? Like, to me, hell, I think most people, I would say 95% of people have the job they have because a friend or a family member suggested, like, oh, you should totally hire so-and-so, right? I think 95% of people, like, some people
Not
make
me.
it. No, but like, there are a few people that don't, right? Like,
I would say 100%.
but a lot of people have a job because somebody referred them. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think that's the way it should be. You gotta pass it forward, like, or not pass it forward.
But I do. But seriously, I think there is something, and I think about this a lot, especially like as a woman in comics, because you have to, like, what little boys club there is left. I think sometimes people forget that it's so based off on like who you know, and it's not necessarily a question of talent. It's also just a question of like, who do you want to work with under very sort of difficult conditions from time to time. Like, you want people that are nice people too, right? So to have someone like Jason go, she's like, I'll vouch for her. She's good. I'll be there. I'll fix it if she fucks it up. And I believe in, I believe in you, Torunn. Let's go. It's just the most amazing feeling ever. I just obviously I try to do that as best as I can. To see, thank you, Glenn. I have no idea what comes out of my mouth, what language it is, what I'm going to say at any moment.
What I enjoy about teaching is encouraging people just like that, and trying to encourage kids to see the value in their talents, whether it doesn't have to be right like something academic. I feel like
I think that is an amazing thing that I think must be one of the hardest thing about teaching, when you have to both be like, hey, do your homework, but by the way, I do see that you're amazing in this way. And even though I have to nag you about the homework, I do see that you have value over here, but please do your fucking homework. Like, it is that's fascinating.
Act like, yeah, I'm going to write you up, by the way. Good job. This though.
Well, you have to. You still have to hold them accountable and have that, like, the idea that you're still, in charge. Like,
let me tell you, the thing that lately that I've had to, besides cell phones, is I've had to enforce is being on time. And it's like, and I'm like, if you're late, it's 8:50. My room is the farthest from the office. I will send, if it's 8:50, I close the door. Why are you asking? Just let me in. You have to go to the office to get a note. Like, I can't.
Okay, so you have to, so they would have to go to the office and get a note, and then they can.
Yeah, like every day without fail, somebody's late, and I'm like, why? Like, you should go ahead and get a note. Like, I don't know. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. I'm like, I gotta hold this standard. Otherwise, it's going to be like, oh, come in at 8:55. Oh, come in at 9:00.
And also, you are shaping the future of the workforce.
Like,
so
that's what I've heard, is that people just come in whenever they, sorry, I'm late, and they've got Starbucks. No, don't stop at Starbucks. That's it.
See, that is the most, like, I've done some sort of storytelling workshops at the high school, I suppose it would be, in Norway. And like, sometimes the kids they'll just get up and leave. And I'll be like, is that allowed? Can you do that? I didn't know. And then I'll look over to the teacher, who'll be like, oh, he's got a whatever. There's something. And there's something with every fucking kid has something. And no one says anything during the thing. And then every time we have like a pause, or like it's like 10 minutes or whatever, that's when they want to talk to me. It's a very fascinating thing. I would say 23 minutes as a teacher. I would get through like, hello, my name is Torunn. And then it would rapidly dissolve from there. I don't see how, like, it
takes a lot of planning. I don't know, me personally, I have to work hard to stay organized and to focus and concentrate. So I spend a lot of time beforehand, like with slides and a schedule and like timers. Like, this is how it's going to go, so I can fit all the stuff in. And I'm asking fellow teachers to remind me I don't have to fill the 90 minutes totally up. It's okay.
YouTube videos are more.
We do watch YouTube videos.
Video, let them teach your kids.
I would be like, hey, I saw some TikToks.
I don't.
You can all learn about drones.
So let's talk about the difference between a drone and an orb, and we're gonna get.
And you were talking about witches and bones and how communities argue with each other. That's the part I was listening to while picking up my daughter. And I was like, that's a very positive way of looking at a TikTok rabbit hole. I deleted TikTok. I was like, nope, I just feel bad about myself.
My brother just texted me this morning. He was like, well, I've been sick and bad. And for the last 5 hours, I've been watching trending videos on, apparently squatters in California have different laws and you have to let them live in your house. And he's like, I'm 5 hours into these video series. I was like, what? This is what happens. Like, it's so funny. Like,
but then I also don't know some terms like Badusi. I learned
whoa, dude, what are you doing?
Badusi,
no, Melanie, what are you doing? This isn't the AMA.
This girl was like, it smells like Badusi in here. And I was like, what? Well, by the looks that everybody's giving me, I'd say, please don't say that word again. And then I asked the English teachers, what does that mean? And they laughed.
Is it?
It's like you combine 3 parts of the body used to have sex and make it all.
That is fucking something.
So,
I like that. There's a trending audio right now.
I would know. If I was on social media, I would know these things.
What the hell?
But I mean, there's a bunch of like I would say, the Mormons, the Mormons in general. They're a fun bunch. And the thing they do when they're the soaking thing. That's one of those things that every time I think, should I delete the social media? I'm like, no, I want to know about the soaking. That's great.
Well, that's what I have YouTube for. So I could pick longer format and
YouTube's for the sophisticated folks.
But then again, at some point, then you have to do then you have to be like, today I'm going to learn about Mormons. The nice thing about TikTok, it's just going to be there right in your face, being like, hey, here's a thing you definitely didn't want to know, but now you know it.
No.
Did you know that BBLs, apparently they have a smell? Did we talk about this?
You were talking about that, and I was like, what the hell?
That is still my favorite piece of sort of like, I would never have found this out if none of my friends, they've all let me down. None of them has ever been like, hey, they smell. Should I answer the poor fucking question? What
the hell is happening? I just want to know if she likes Star Trek or Star Wars.
Oh, I love it. The thing is that this is such a boring question, but I fucking love both of them. That's the sort of the I don't know if that's a problem. It is, but I will say that they have hits and misses on. I don't know. It's I would say I've been really disappointed with a bunch of the Star Wars shows lately. Is that allowed to say?
There's a lot of them too. There were 3 series going on too, right? And Star Trek, Star Wars.
The Star Wars one.
Oh no!
Yeah, but I find that the Star Wars comics, there's a bunch of really great Star Wars comics. I wrote a Darth Vader one, which was I thought everyone did a great job, and it's one of those fundamental pieces of pop culture that everyone. So I told my dad do you know Darth Vader? And it's like, yeah, I fucking do. That's amazing because he doesn't know anything. He is completely baffled by everything I do and has no idea what I it's a mystery.
But he knows Darth Vader.
Yeah,
he knows Darth Vader, and it felt like a thing. But I don't know. I like great storytelling, and there is a lot of great storytelling in both Star Wars and Star Trek. But I will say that Star Trek has been that was my youth. And at some point, I worked at a record store, and we had all the Star Wars box sets. And they, at some point, because we could, if you behaved very nicely, we could take DVDs home and watch them, and then take them back and sell them without telling anyone. And the box sets, at some point, they made their way to my house, and then they never made them way back. And I'm not even sure. I might have stolen them. I'm not sure. I still have.
I love that was the long way of telling from work.
Yeah, James. But it was just it's a comfort thing, right? So yeah. See, James, you're so fucking what?
Dude, James.
What's going on here?
Profile.
Alicia, again, after I picked her up and I was listening to this, she said, "Is that Oddfell?" And then I said, "No, it's Torunn." And you were dropping F-bombs, and she didn't say anything. And I said, I laughed. I was like, in other countries, it's just not a bad thing to kind of slick. You just
this is just this lesson in culture. In fact, that's what we're doing. We're just expanding some more universes.
On the chat.
Only 3.
Rami's like, I just came here for comic book questions.
What character
What's
are
Rami?
What's a character you really want to write? Yeah, who's a character that you're like,
I really want to write Wolverine.
Oh yeah,
I've told you before. I really, really want to. That would be so good. And I have all the same as everyone. I would like to do a Batman thing at some point, just because it's fucking Batman. And I think I could do something fun. But I mean, there's so many different. I realized every time I get into something the new Marvel thing I'm doing, I wouldn't have expected to be this excited about it as I am. and I'll say like vaguely, like I'll get to use some villains that I have never, like it's never been a part of the books that I've written before, and it's so fun. So I don't know, but Wolverine, that's sort of like that's the answer I usually give, just because I think I would do it so well, and it might be one of those things that I think I would do well, and then I would fuck it up completely because I would have a panic attack for a few months and then choke, but who knows.
When you're writing, okay. This is an interview. Wow, this feels weird. This is an actual interview question.
Oh my god!
When you're writing something,
so well.
I know what the hell's wrong with this. When you're writing somebody you don't know, a character you don't know, and you have deadlines, you have 4 projects. How much research do you do? Like, what do you consider research? When it comes, like, let's say you're writing a character like Armadillo, somebody that you're like, I don't even know who the fuck Armadillo is, and you're like, you go to Google and you're like, oh, he's this guy. Is that what you do?
Well, I mean, usually I try to read like the origin story or whatever it is, right?
Okay.
Try to figure out sort of what was the purpose of this character in the first place, because usually if you go back to the beginning, you'll see why they were sort of made up. And then I try to take a look at the fandom and see where they're at, what do they enjoy? Like, what do people enjoy about the character? And then at some point, I'll read through as many comics that I can find that I find interesting. Because sometimes I gotta tell you, like, some comics are just shit, and they're so hard to get through if they're bad. And then fandom.com is a great help, I don't know. But I mean, the point is obviously just try to find some way into the character that is like feels like you somehow, like you feels like you have something to add. And usually I find that I have something on, like I so far I haven't been able to. I don't know.
Oh, that's really good advice. I'm going to my daughter's up in the craft room, and I said we would do crafts together today, so I'm going to go up there.
That's a lovely thing. Yeah. She's lucky.
I
love seeing you as always.
It was great talking with you. Seriously, that's really, really good advice. I want to take that advice. I'm going to go write it down right now. Put it on my wall.
You should write something. That's what you should do.
Oh, write down restaurants too.
Yeah, restaurants.
Yeah, that's a good book title. What are the best and worst concerts you've been to, Torunn? Seeing a major artist that was either really great or really disappointing, being terrible live.
I'll say one of the best concerts, I would say Metallica in I think 96 or something.
Oh my god, really? Yeah. You saw them? I saw them in 99. But go ahead.
But that was sort of I've seen some. I was young. I would have been like 12 or something, and I can remember it was painful. Like, it was so loud that it was actually painful, and I came out of there it was just like it just chucked me online. It was fucking amazing, and so that was one of those. I've seen Metallica a bunch of times since, but that was one of the best concerts I've ever gone to. And at some point, like, there was a burning man running across the stage, and I was young enough to be like, I don't know if it's real or if it's like what's going. Like, it was just amazing. And then I would say Perfect Circle in Kansas City. That was fantastic.
Wow.
And then most disappointing ones, I would say any Smashing Pumpkins concert ever is the most disappointing one, because they're just like I don't know, they're just like basic shit. It's just the sound is bad, and Corgan, I love Smashing Pumpkins. But Bill Corgan, he is sort of like an insufferable cunt, if you know what I mean. Like, he has.
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. That's I've seen them twice, and once was like we were that close to the front, like we were at the front, and he was once. Oh my gosh, once was in the 90s, so some of the original band was still there. Now it's like, I think it's just Billy Corgan that's left.
Yeah, I think it's mostly.
But that's the persona that he wants. Like, he's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like he's like, don't really want to be here, but I'm here, and that's what I'm
also a genius. But like, it's just I don't know. Like, you can't think about it too much. But I found it such that they're just there's something about the like tempo, I suppose. See, there you are, Scott. That's the thing, right? And the thing is, like, I used to be like my high school like quote yearbook quote thing was a Smashing Pumpkins quotes, and like I was obsessed with Smashing Pumpkins, and then I realized like, oh, Corgan is a really like he's a hard sell for me. So I think that was my only sort of experience with really intense fandom, and then being like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And ever since, I've just been like, I love things, but I very rarely do like the full on, like I'll know everything and I'll read all the lyrics, and I'll like, I made a fucking website for Smashing Pumpkins in '97.
You were that deep.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, and then I sort of like, oh, he's such a sad bastard.
You mentioned something like the saying "never meet your hero" sometimes is very true. Meaning like an actor or a comic book creator can really impact your feel or your love of something. But and sometimes it's hard, to leave that behind and just think, well, these are just people too. They're not.
Oh yeah, sure.
Not gods, right? They're not better, and they're not better than I don't know. Maybe I was expecting better, but I have been disappointed in the past. Meeting some of these people. I never met Millie Corgan, but I've seen him live twice, and it was enough for me to go, I think that's enough.
Yeah, I think that's...
I thought he was having a bad day in the 90s, and then I saw him about 8 years ago. Still the same.
Still a bad day. Yeah. Still like a little, like he ends the songs like too quickly. Like he'll speed up while he's playing somehow, and it's just like, why?
It's like he doesn't want to be there.
Yeah, but just have one of those things that keeps the rhythm. Like you have a drummer, for fuck's sake. Just follow the drum. Like, anyway, but it is. I think when you like with Smashing Pumpkins or anyone, I do find it interesting when the persona of the people, are you in front of the work or are you behind the work, if you know what I mean? Like you have some people that are sort of they're more a huge character than they are the books they write or whatever, and when those people fuck up, you'll feel it, right? So I always find it more interesting when you have people who are sort of like letting the work speak for them, and then just I like some distance to my heroes in general. I don't know.
I had no idea he was into pro wrestling.
Oh yeah,
that's so he owns the NW. What?
The whole thing? Yeah.
It's so weird. I saw them Pumpkins back in 2000. I thought the show was great. Saw them a couple months ago with Green Day, and Green Day blew them away.
Green Day would
blow them away. Seen Green Day. I've seen Weezer. I'd love to see Green Day one day. Never got a chance to see them. Not yet. Blake Corbin is about himself, and when he wants, we are expected to appreciate whatever genius he deems worthy. He's got a great drummer.
Yeah. Do you mean?
Have you seen any black metal bands live?
What kind of question is this, Glenn? Like, I'm Norwegian. I've seen them all. I've seen all of the. I've seen them all. It's always fun when you talk to, especially Americans, if they know any Norwegian metal bands, because I have, in fact, at some point seen all of them, when they were like 17 and full of like. And they were experimenting with makeup or whatever, and it's always fun. Like Dimmu Borgir, they're from my town, and they used to like help me with my bike and stuff. Like they're nice people. There was time they were very snotty people, but I mean at some point they got into the community and everything. But I think it's one of those like because we do have a sort of metal culture in Norway, which I adore, and we have a bunch of great festivals, and it's just great music, and there's a lot of humor in it. I think you have to get the joke. I think we talked about this before. The sort of like I remember back in like the early 2000s, I was at a metal festival somewhere, and I was like full on gothic queen, very sort of. I don't know. And there was a dude who did like he was dressed as a vampire, and he was sort of doing the whole like "Oh, do you want to join me tonight? Together through the night we will go." And it's just like, oh, do you not get the joke? Like, do you think this is how we're supposed to behave? You fucking idiot! Like, it's just you have to be in on the joke. You have to get with the thing. I think I'm sorry if I'm repeating myself, but I once saw, I think it was Dark Funeral, and they had huge inverted crosses on stage, and they had like hamburgers stuck on the inverted crosses because the crosses were sort of swords, and they were playing and eating the hamburgers. And it's just funny, right? Like, it's not it's not a statement of everything. It's just a fun thing. And I was having a discussion with a guy who was like, "Oh, that's not respectful." I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just fun. Yeah, that's it.
This is so awesome. Torunn, what are your favorite Marvel and DC events? Do you have a love 84, or do you love?
Oh my god, I do.
5 Crisis, 86 Legends of Armageddon 2001, Infinity Gauntlet, House of M, World War Hulk, Siege, Dark Reign era.
See, yeah, this is the kind of thing where I'm afraid that Mike is going to come to my table at some point and ask me questions that I'm going to realize, oh, like, you know everything. And I'm like, I like the one with the dude. Like, I don't fucking know. But I do, like, I find it fascinating when there's a good event. And I think it's a hard thing to pull off. And I think, like I thought Secret Wars was great. I have a few sort of, and I think what Hickman did with X-Men was fucking amazing, and there's some really good stuff, right? But I do sometimes feel like the events are sort of like they could have been more somehow.
Well, when you do them twice a year or once a year, it's just like, oh, it's a thing. I think a lot of events, I've actually talked about this on my Saturday live stream, talking about like the how an event started off as like just this tiny little story they were going to tell inside their comic. I'm sure Jason probably had no idea War of the Realms was going to be this huge thing when he started writing Thor, but he was leading up, right? Like, he was leading up to it. He was like, okay, I'm going to do this. You know, the realms are going to be attacked and Malekith is going to come back, and I'm going to do that towards like the 3rd act of the Thor book. And then I'm sure some editor went, hey, how about instead of like being part of Thor, we make it into a big event. We get Spider-Man involved, Punisher involved, and Torunn involved.
Yeah, but that's the thing, right? Like, I've been a part of a few events at this point, and it's always interesting when you have to be like, okay, so I have some bullet points of what's going on, and I have to figure out what the fuck like we're supposed to do. And like when we did King in Black, we had the Valkyries, and we're trying to do something that was related to the rest of the storyline that would still make sense and still feel like Valkyries without sort of being pulled into the most like prog rocky nonsense going on down on Earth, like Donny Cates being the Catesiest, Donny Cates, which I fucking love. Don't get me wrong, but it's like we're doing Valkyrie, and it's all very, you know, whatever we're doing, pretentious nonsense. And it's always fun to sort of try to figure out something to add to a thing like that. But I do think it can go wrong if you don't find it, and the book is still on the schedule and you have to write something. So you just have to, you know, do something. So I think like it's a hit and miss for me, but I do think I think there could be some absolutely amazing events if people sort of went into it. I think it would be an incredible thing. It was really thought through. I don't know, but there's been some good ones.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that. There's some good ones, and then some rough ones. Devin Townsend.
I know my Townsend. Never seen him in live though. We're still talking. What? The pegging. I like that. That's a special edition, like Torunn.
That was your first episode.
Yeah, I'm very proud of the pegging. I like that's part of my like minty personality. Enjoy that.
Black metal. Does Norway have the hardest music ever, namely polka?
Well, I'm sure we do. we do. I was like I heard some polka the other day that was actually kind of cool, which was a shocking thing to me. And maybe there's some unexplored depths of glory in polka, John. If you know some, please let us know, and we will check it and get back to you.
Torunn, would you like to work with John Byrne?
I think so. Like that would be like he's a good dude, right?
I
You know something that
I don't know if he. I don't like somebody. I think it was Joe that was talking about him. I don't think he works anymore. I think he's gotten to that point where he doesn't do conventions, and he just. I don't think he's done any comic work. He did something like his own fan. What was it? X-Men Elsewhere. Like it's like, what if he kept writing and drawing X-Men? It's where they would have gone. But it was like a fan project. He did it for fun. He didn't do it like he didn't pitch it to Marvel, and he just wanted to do it. And then when he got bored, he stopped.
See, that's
wish Jane Foster Valkyrie we get an omnibus. That would be cool.
That would be cool. I would like that.
Deserves it. Yeah. So I don't know if Byrne was known as the bad boy in comics before anyone else. By the way.
See, but that's the thing. Like anyone who because he's.
He was like Billy Corgan.
There we are. But the thing is, like, sometimes you meet these. Like I was hanging out with Higgins on like Friday, like in London, and he's one of those like of the British ones, like one of the best. And I was sort of thinking, like, I wonder if I can write something that he would find interested. Like enough to draw, because that would be something. But it is always sort of mortifying when you have people who have done amazing stuff and you're supposed to be like, hey, I know you're good, but just do it my way instead. So like the Darth Vader one, I was working with Klaus Janson, and it is it's a fascinating thing when like the editors were going in with like, hey, can you change that thing, and then like it's I don't know, just let him do his thing, right? But it's fun. It's fun. God, I have the best fucking job in the world. It's
You do.
Yeah, I know.
And
I remember that more often.
Lovely people like you. Guess John Byrne has unofficially retired. Probably, I don't know. He may come back and do something. If Red Sonja, Catwoman, and Carnage start a band, what music would they play, and what would it be called?
Oh my God!
James, where did that come from?
It's an insane question, James. I would say it would be some sort of prog rock nonsense, and then like Cletus would get into sort of like some, the like gazing, not like it would be awful. That's what I'm saying. It would be like a disaster. I don't see how that would work in any possible way. Yeah.
So there's your answer, and Max is suggesting
polka. Maybe that would be their music. I mean, if Selena and Red Sonja were both drunk at all times, then maybe it could work. Like maybe. But I think I tried to write the Dark Funeral thing into Carnage at some point because you have a metal scene in like a metal concert in Carnage, and you should check out all the, because Perry, I did a bunch of like horrible pun names for all the metal bands, and then Perry, because he's an overachiever, he designed logos for all of them, and they're all in there like on T-shirts and everything. So that's a fun thing. And if you don't want to buy the comic, I think I posted a Substack thing about it. But we couldn't do the inverted crosses. So, because apparently that's bad, I think, in America.
In comics?
I don't know. I mean, I think the joke was something like he would take the cross and sort of like pierce through a person. That wasn't the problem. It was just the fact that it was an inverted cross. I don't know. The thing is, Eric, I am a huge fan of prog rock. That's the odd thing. Sometimes I really like. I would say, like, are we called like, would Opeth be prog metal or something. I don't fucking know. But yeah, no, I have a long, intense love for anything wanky and 13 minutes long. I truly do.
So besides writing Catwoman and a secret hush hush project at Marvel, what else are you working? Oh, and Battle Action. What else are you working on?
Well, right now as I mentioned, I'm doing the creator-owned books, and
yes.
I feel sort of I'm very happy that I'm doing that, just because there is a bunch of people that they don't read Marvel or DC, so they don't read my stuff at all, and it would be. I do find the idea of just doing something completely mine, because I haven't done it for so many years. I like it. I'm just desperately trying to figure out what kind of stories are important right now, and I'm failing to figure it out. It was like in the pandemic, like during the first part of the pandemic, I had the same problem where I was just like, I can't quite see humanity right now. Like it's faltering a bit to me. So I'm still struggling to get a hold of what feels inspiring, or what do I have to say that would be relevant for people to either as a sort of a relief from the world, or as a way to make sense of the world. And if I can't make sense of it, I don't know. Like, how am I supposed to write anything sensible? I don't know.
You watch a bunch of TikTok videos until you're inspired.
Until I know all the Mormon sex nonsense. Apparently they fuck like everyone. It's a whole thing. Like, it's not cheating if your husband is in the room or something. Like, it's a whole fun, beautiful, like, you should be on Mormon
TikTok, huh?
Yeah. And apparently, like, they got a bunch of shit for it. But they also got a reality show. So there's a whole TikTok Mormon show. I haven't watched that one though, because I don't hate myself.
Oh man, I did. I had no idea there was a show. What is your favorite Catwoman cover?
Oh my god, that is my favorite Catwoman cover is it hasn't been released yet. I just got it. It's the one for 74, Catwoman 74, and I tell you, like, sometimes in comics, because this is a ridiculous job, just so we're clear, like, it's the best job in the world, but most of the time I'm just I'm hating myself, or I'm doing lettering drafts, or I'm trying to sort of figure out alternative wordings for, cream his pants, which you can't say, right? So you have to find some alternative way to say it, and then you'll fail. Like, that's my job. It's silly. But I had a moment the other day when Seba sent over the cover for 74, and there is a character that I made up in Catwoman, and he somehow went into my brain and just put it on the cover. Like, he's there on the cover, and it's the most wonderful feeling. Like, it is the most absurd, obscenely lovely feeling when you're just like, oh, I fucking made that. I made that happen. And yeah, so that's the one. Look out for the Sebastian cover for 74, but I mean, all of his covers has been sort of mind-blowing, I would say. I thought the one for 71 was my favorite until I saw this one. I don't know.
No, that's wonderful. I'm glad that you get to see the covers. Like, I didn't know how that worked. Sister wives thing. Not that I was gonna Google it. Not that I was gonna Google it or anything.
No, of course not.
So I'm glad that you get to see them before they're being published and before they're released, I guess, for solicitations. I assume that's how it works.
Well, I mean, I got the main covers, but the variants are just a delightful surprise. I suppose I could ask for my editors to send them to me, but there's just so much work for them. But mostly, like, I'll get a package with the comps, and there will be just a delightful surprise of wonderful art, and it's the best job ever, and the art is sincerely the best part of this job.
And let me answer this one really quick. How do you vote for the Marvel reprint poll? I make a video, and you just watch the video, and I tell you the instructions on how to vote for the books that you want out of print or the new books, and we do the same thing for DC. And that will be out sometime in February after the latest catalog is out, after I announce all the books. Torunn, what is the biggest single collection of comics written by you on the market? Yeah, that's a good question. What is the character that you've written the most? That, like, would you say?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's like all the Valkyries and the Jane Foster stuff. Maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm stuck. Maybe, or the Red Sonja one is at 18 issues. I think we're sort of around there with a couple of them. I did, I suppose, 12 issues of Carnage altogether. I don't remember. Like it's
well, if you put Carnage and then Venom together, I think there's a little bit of that. You threw Thor into the mix of Valkyrie. You got a little bit of that too. We're gonna we'll take one more question for Torunn. She's got to get back to writing and getting it all together here. What's your favorite current run, not including yours? Are you reading comics these days? Are you still reading comics? Okay.
I always try to read comics. It's a great sort of, it's great procrastination, like because it's like almost working. Like if you know what I mean? Yeah. Okay, so I will say probably Absolute Wonder Woman. I think Kelly is doing, as always, the most sort of. It's so good, and she's like, I've had a whole thing. Jeff the Land Shark. I bought a 3D printer, a bamboo one, which means it's just that's the name of the brand. I saw a question about it earlier. Okay. And my kid who's 12, she was like, oh, we're going to just print an army of Jeff the Land Sharks. So that's what that's just been going since Christmas Eve, just printing a bunch of Jeffs. So I've been going back to find the comics because I'm trying to win some points with the kids. Will be like I almost know Kelly, like she knows who I am.
She's really sweet. I like talking to her.
Yeah, and Jason Aaron is also like the Superman is. Oh, it's so good. And the thing is, like, he does this most sort of like subtle emotion. I'm pretty sure there must be some Superman fans just weeping afterward. Like I can only imagine it must be like a thing for the Superman fans. And I will say that I got, I'm not sure if it's out or if it's announced yet, so I'm not gonna mention it, but Garth sends me his comics when they're done, and he just written a new war thing that I think it's one of the best. I think it's one of the best comics ever, really.
Wow.
And it's just an astounding piece of work. So I read that entire thing, and then I had like I had like 2 days of like, what's the point of me doing it? Like, oh, it was because it was like, he's so good. So always a bunch of great comics. I find it's a joy of my life, and I find especially because I'm trying to find the joy of life these days, because it's either it's fury and anger of the general state of the world, or it's just intense love for everyone and everything, and that's what I'm going for. Just going for the love part.
Love that answer. So you can follow Torunn on Instagram and check out her beautiful paintings. And like I mentioned, she's currently working on Catwoman, wrapping up Red Sonja. And once all that is done, maybe we can get a big oversized collection of her stuff. And she does have a Substack thing. Oh, you know what? I'm going to let James. I'm just going to let James do your thing. Okay. I mentioned Instagram.
James, you do have like a special place in my heart, just so you know.
You have no idea what you just did to that man. And her Blue Sky account right here, in case you want to go and check that out.
Say nothing on Blue Sky, but talk to me on Blue Sky so I have someone to talk to. I don't fucking know. Like I don't know what you're supposed to do, like, because it's so public. I don't want to have an opinion. So I'm not going to be like, hey, have you seen the drones on Blue Sky? Because that sounds like a lot of work. I will on like Instagram stories or whatever.
I think that would be a great idea. Loving your collaboration. Walter, Dave, how are you, buddy?
I I also love Michael. I love Walter so much, and we're sort of at the end of Red Sonja now, and I'm trying to like see if there's a possibility to sort of pull Walter out and do something else with Walter, just keep working with Walter. I don't see how I can stop working with Walter.
You know, here's something. I don't know, and then we can end it. But Jason Aaron wrote this really cool story for Conan that almost felt like Old Man Conan. It's like the ending of how he envisioned Conan's journey coming to an end. It would be a pretty cool miniseries to have you and Walter doing that. A very similar story with how you envision Red Sonja's journey coming to an end, but also leaving it open, right? I think it's
But I think that's one of the wonderful things about that specific universe is that you can do things and the continuity isn't as like you can sort of just say, oh, this is sort of a thing. Just enjoy the story, right? Whilst in Marvel, it's a little harder to do that because someone will always be like they will know everything, they will have read everything. But sometimes I feel like, especially like I was listening to like a Venom podcast, and they were trying to they were going through everything that had happened the last 4 years or something. Like Eddie Brock is having a bad day after another bad day. Like that's not like there's no rest for the wicked. And you can't really, if you're trying to make sense of it, if you're trying to be like, at some point he needs a vacation, like that doesn't work, right? Like no one wants to see that. So I do sort of enjoy when you can take a character and just tell a good story and end it, and then sort of move on. So that would be interesting to do something like that with Sonja, and I think there is sort of room for it because she's one of those like unchanging characters in many ways. Like I realized it when she was glaring at me earlier when I was being an emotional idiot, and she was like, don't make me say that because I will come through the screen and kill you. Like much as she like you always try to change a character, right? Like that's sort of the point of a story, that you change a character. But Sonja is a little more like, no, she's sort of best when she's just Sonja, I think.
Talk about how you and Walter exchange ideas. You have in the past, how both of you work together so close on this character's journey.
I think Walter is one of those, like first of all, he's so humble in a sort of strange way, and he will take in like all my stupid jokes and stupid comments, he will work it in some way, and he like it. But every time I'm like, hey, I don't know exactly how this, like, how does the world of chaos look? He will send a bunch of sketches, and it's always such a wealth of ideas. Or like for covers, he will be like, here are 9 different covers. They're all fucking amazing. Which do you want me to draw? So with Walter, I've sort of realized like the best thing you could do is just give him enough to make it visually interesting, and he'll just do the rest. Like he'll just take the ball and run, which is sort of the best feeling when you're working with someone, but you can trust them to just go for it. So like I think Walter is the only, except maybe Pere, but Walter, I can just go this page. I usually do some panels, be like, here's what I'm picturing, but just ignore me and do whatever the fuck you want. Like just I'll add the pretentious captions later, and then we'll have a comic book. Just and it's great. Like I think he's one of the best who's working in like the genre and he's so fast and so professional. I can't say enough good things about him. I can't believe we're not gonna work together anymore. So let's
for the foreseeable future, but you never know. Comics and not burning bridges and getting to work with people and other projects, and if something comes about. Remember what I said about Friends?
Yeah, definitely.
Walter, I want you to work on this. Do you know anybody that could write this? And he's gonna be like, I think I got somebody.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you again for being here and enlightening us. And I wanted the last interview I did this year to be special, and it had to be you. That's why I asked you. Because if you had said no, I would have been like, well, I'm not doing another interview in December then.
You are the sweetest, Omar. You know.
January, just with some. I think I got a couple lined up in January already. Trying to get back into it a little bit. Because I kind of stepped away from interviews because it really bogs down the channel's algorithm, and then at one point I didn't care. And just the last few months are always busy for me for the channel because there's so much like that I do and read and have to catch up on. But I was like, I'm gonna go out with a bang, so I'm gonna invite my friend on.
See,
So,
I didn't know I was fucking with your algorithm, but I will. But I love being here. Seriously, it's my favorite thing, and I always forget that this will be on the internet forever.
yeah, it's on the internet.
That's horrifying. But I think we did well today. I don't think we like. But I mean, we talked a lot about Hooters, but
Melody came down here with some information about a word.
And I think I think we did. We stayed away from a bunch of things that we
definitely would have gone down the rabbit hole.
I think we did. We didn't rate a single criminal this time, Omar.
I'm a little disappointed in that.
Yeah. Well, that's the next one. That's the Patreon one. We'll do.
Yes.
God.
Oh, Dana, how are you, my friend? I got to talk to Dana earlier this year, and she put out one of the greatest collections from the Web of Horror collection from Fantagraphics. It's amazing.
And I do agree, Dana. You're absolutely right. It is an honor.
It was almost an AMA. Yeah, the damn AMAs are a lot more fun. We call these demonetization streams.
Oh my God. That's awful. I'm sorry.
Like Turco-Mongol origin of Red Sonja is neglected in the comics. This is from Bill.
See, this is a whole thing. We could talk about that's the next sort of interview we do. It should just be about this. It is it's a touchy thing, and people seem to be very like divided of how you handle the like there's a twofold thing there, because one thing is just people being a little, they don't know which origin story they prefer everything, blah blah. But it's also like a publisher thing, because I realized at some point that there are things that you can't really, like, we're not entirely sure whose characters and which gods we can use, and there's a whole thing because some of it is owned by someone else. Like I don't know. It's a complicated thing, is what I'm saying. So sometimes it can be easier to just sort of steer away, and anything, especially nowadays, like if you do anything that seems too much like being like, oh, you're depicting like this country or something, it can be touchy in a way that I think like we can't quite see all the potential harm that we could potentially do. So it's easier to just sort of steer away. Which is, in many ways, why I felt very comfortable taking Sonja to the far north and just mocking Vikings for a while, because I feel very comfortable making fun of my own people.
Your own people, all the Vikings. Hey, Captain, how are you? When did you guys do a Patreon show? We did it twice this year. It was a lot of fun. And I think the last time we did it, it was my return to the AMA. So it must have been in November. And I thought, there's one person that can make me laugh my ass off. I had just been through something horrible, so I invited Torunn on, and it was a blast. We had a blast.
We had such a good, it's the best thing.
And that's the link to the Patreon.
Yeah. So you just sign up for the Patreon, and then you can hear about all the horrible things that we can't say when it's going to be on YouTube forever and ever. Because
now it's on YouTube forever and ever. And James actually downloads everything you say, so you never know.
Fucking James. So
everybody, thank you so much. Hit that like button. Go and check out Torunn's wonderful comics, and she's got something else lined up with Marvel. But that's it for us. We are out of here. We're ending the year with this live stream, and I'll be back tomorrow with Peter to do another live stream. So maybe I'm not quite ending the year, but we're going out with a bang.
Guys, beautiful people. You're the best. You're the best of the internet, which is fucking say something, and Happy New Year, everyone.
There you go. Goodbye, everybody. We are